So it's another Sunday. It's the worst day of the week. It's the day before you have to waste your whole week working again. But this time, this Sunday, it's a bit different. I find myself asking difficult questions. Questions that can't be answered. I should know better. So when I was young, they programmed me to learn the ways of the modern wage slave. Now, it wasn't just school teachers, it was actually my own family. The sins of my father and the father before him, the illusion of a good life, work hard and be rewarded for it. The prophecy of happiness. The lies they feed us for centuries. Now, I don't blame my family. They had the best intentions, but they were deceived. We all were. Only a few of us actually saw the truth. Me and, whoever's listening. On some instinctive level, we always knew that something was wrong with the illusions stuffed down our throats. Words like democracy, freedom, society. My parents, they never went to college, so it was really important that I did. They wanted me to go to college because they believed that it would lead to a better life in society. Now, in some ways, I have to admit they were probably right, but in other ways, going to college is like the biggest wage slave trap out there. It's stage one, get a school loan and spend the rest of your life paying for it. Stage two, get a house and cement your fate as a wage slave. I can't believe I allowed myself to get this trapped. The sad part struck me recently when I was watching a TV series show. Yes, another wage slave trap, the endless string of TV shows making your life feel a bit shorter and shorter every evening. But this one show revealed a haunting truth about my own life. It was just this scene in a TV show called Fleischman is in Trouble. Now, I rewatched this scene many times. I obviously can't show it to you for copyright reasons, but I'm gonna quote it. I sort of memorized it. Now, if you don't know the show, you don't need to know a lot about it, except that it involves a couple of middle-aged people feeling lost in life. Like I said, the show is great, but there is this one particular scene that really moved me. When a character called Libby goes on a nostalgic trip. She sort of remembers her life before she was trapped in the adult wage slave system. And goes something like this. There's no use in going home like this. I made a mess, and the cleanup already felt impossible. Left to my own devices, I always returned to the museum of my youth, trying to find the last place I'd seen myself. I didn't realize at the time that the real power I had was that I had no obligations. I could do whatever the hell I wanted. How was I supposed to know that one day, in seeking the safety of a grown-up life, I would lose that power? I'm 41 now. I can't believe how briefly I held it, and how quickly I gave it away. So this scene sends chills down my spine because I feel the same way. There are many things in my life that I love. I love my wife. I love the new family I got because of her. I love our house, our pets, the safety of being able to afford things and still be able to save money for a rainy day. But it's the burden of obligation, that feeling of being trapped, trying not to drown in an endless pit of obstacles. This is my life, and it's slipping away little by little, day by day. I do everything right in life. I do the work, I pay the bills, I save my money, I try to please my wife, and yet somehow something feels terribly off. There are days, more days than I care to admit here, where I'm screaming inside my head, this is not my life. I spend my evenings trying to wrap my head around how to escape wage slavery. I need to do it quickly. Life is short. Sure, I can spend less and save more in index funds, and if I'm lucky, I might retire by the age of 50. But it's not quick enough. It's not that I'm impatient, I just feel that the best years of my life are just going by so quickly. And if I wait until I'm 50, I might as well just do my time and work until I'm 70. The problem is that it's actually very difficult to escape wage slavery. And most days I'm just too tired to fight. I keep swinging, but my arm feels so heavy. I wonder why my parents didn't warn me. Surely they must have known and understood that they were raising a kid into this wage slave system. Maybe they thought college would save me in ways that were not available to them. While college did move me up the ladder, I discovered very quickly that the middle class is just another layer of the wage slave trap. And in some ways, it's even harder because you start that cushy job with a big student loan to pay for. Maybe my parents knew that the game was rigged, but they didn't have the heart to tell me. It's not the kind of thing that you tell your kids. It's like death. You never tell your child that it's going to die someday. I whine about this to you and to my wife. And my wife, she nods her head, she understands, but we don't really talk about it. She accepts her fate, and I simply never will. The only thing we can agree on is that we don't want to have kids because we know deep inside that because of the way things are in the world, we would be terrible parents. Now, I both admire other wage slaves who have kids and actually have the energy to raise them, but I also see how terrible some parents can be. I see how parents split up and have their kids have split up childhoods. Half the weeks at dad's, the other half at mom's. And, maybe that's better than the alternative. I don't really know. I don't have kids, and I probably should keep my mouth shut about things I don't really know about. But I will tell you what I do know. My parents split up when I was 5, and I remember a childhood before that age, and I remember the childhood that followed. For the longest time, I actually hated my parents for making me choose between them. And other times I would just ignore them. And the sad truth is that I didn't see my dad for the last 10 years of his life. And I will regret that forever. The difficult thing about making human errors is that some of them are just irreversible. I'm never going to be able to tell my dad that I forgive him and at the same time ask for his forgiveness. I don't have much faith. My agnostic nature doesn't allow for me to live in spiritual doubts. But I do hope that there is an afterlife and my dad is there, and that way I get to see him again. In my Christian upbringing, I was taught that God has a plan for everything, that everything is going to be okay. But what if salvation never comes? What if we all die as we have lived, as wage slaves? Like the millions and billions of tombstones all over the world. Now, I'm sorry, I truly am. I know I make society and adult life seem like one big tragedy, and I can already imagine the comments I'm gonna get. Oh, you're obviously depressed. You should seek help. And once again, I can assure you, I've been depressed. Trust me when I tell you, I'm definitely not depressed now. None of this actually makes me depressed at all. I'm just struggling to survive in a world where it seems that my only purpose is to make companies rich so privileged people can wine and dine at better restaurants. But the tragedy is that the rich, they are struggling too. Whether you escape wage slavery or not, life can still be filled with mistakes, suffering, and boredom. And maybe it's the human condition to suffer through a life of pain. And this is the paradox of human life. Questions that can't be answered. Have you ever noticed that whenever something good or bad happens to you, the question is always the same? Why did this happen to me? It's a paradox. You expect an answer, but there isn't one. And the sooner you accept that fact, the better you will sleep at night. Like I said, recently I've been asking myself difficult questions. You shouldn't do that. Trust me. Now, if you're an enlightened wage slave, so like myself, there are really only two things we can do from this point. We can accept that we are going to spend the rest of our lives as wage slaves, or we can make it our life's purpose to escape wage slavery forever. It's really that simple, and I've made my choice. As always, thank you for listening. Do me a favor and tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and strong in your journey of escaping wage slavery. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. Okay, so I know that this video was kind of sad, and when I wrote down my thoughts for this episode, I wasn't planning for it to be as dark as it may have appeared. I don't know, you let me know in the comment section, but my point was really just to go deep inside the topic of wage slavery from a philosophical standpoint, you know, talking about the human condition of things and the thoughts that I've been having. You know, I'm genuinely just trying to be honest about my experience and the way I do in life. So, for example, what am I doing when I'm not working? You know, I'm obviously trying to make these YouTube videos and other content, but it's difficult to find the time. It's difficult to find the time to spend time with my loved ones and stuff like that. It's difficult to eat healthy and exercise, and I do that too. It's actually a lot easier for me now, you know, during the summertime, because during the winter period, I just don't feel like exercising. But these last couple of months, I've been exercising, I've been eating right, and I gotta tell you, it really does make a difference. You know, I can't believe that these words are coming out of my mouth, coming from someone who's always been very doubtful, shall we say, about, you know, right living. But, you know, when you exercise on a daily basis, when you get your steps up, when you eat right, and when I say eat right, I mean when you get the, you know, the carbs and the protein and the fats and, you know, the correct amounts, it really makes your life feel more stable somehow. Maybe it's a placebo effect. I'm not sure. I think experts would say that it's not a placebo effect, that you actually do feel better. But, you know, whatever works. And so I'm happy to say that I'm living my life the right way, so to speak. I don't drink alcohol. I have periods in my life where I drink more or less. Last year, I had a period where I just stopped drinking altogether. And then my dad died, and I don't know, I just felt like I needed a little pick-me-up in the evenings. And then I stopped, you know. I'm a periodic drinker, I suppose. I don't really consider it as a problem, but of course, all alcoholics would probably say that. But no, I feel good. I don't really drink at all, and I don't really feel it luring me, because my theory, and I think I've made a video about this before, I have this theory about addictions, and I'm definitely not an expert in this area, although I have read a lot of studies on this topic, and it's that I don't think that a truly happy person can become an alcoholic or a drug addict. I think that when you feel really, really bad, you will do destructive things to yourself. You know, you will just hate your existence, and you'll do anything to try to make yourself feel better. And that's what I think that addiction is and stuff like that. But again, these are just thoughts from a guy on the internet. Take them or leave them. What else? Really isn't too much else. In the weekends, you know, me and my wife, we go out with the dog a lot. We take these hiking trips. It's fun, but I can't really shut off my brain. I constantly think about the next move. I think of strategies. Should I focus on crypto, or should I focus on my investment portfolio, which is, dividend stocks? Or should I focus on index funds? Or maybe should I start a savings account? And my head is constantly looking at different strategies. I'm thinking that I can solve a riddle. But like I said in the beginning of this video, I have these questions that are like paradoxes. They can't actually be answered, because the problem with saving too much money. So, for example, I could go like zero shopping and spend as little as possible and put every single penny that I earn, except for food and bills and stuff like that, but just put as much as I can into investments. And then something could happen. There could be a crash on the market, or I could be sick, become sick, get a disease, which will, maybe I don't have. We always expect that we will live 70 or 80 years, or maybe 90 years, but the truth is we don't know how long we have. And so it's a risk either way you do it, You'll be glad that you invested all that money if you live to be 90, but if you live to be 50, it's a different story, because then you'll feel like you didn't really live your life to the fullest because you were saving every penny. So, like I said, it's a paradox. You just don't know what the right answer is. So, I suppose that kind of a middle ground is important. Try to save as much money as possible, but don't forget to live as well. And living doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. It could be simple things like spending time with your family or building Lego. But I don't want to talk about that. Okay, enough talk. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.